Hey Met fans, Brian here at Met Mayhem back again. The New York Mets and Toronto Blue Jays played the third and final game of the series this afternoon. David Peterson took the mound for the Mets, making his second start of the season. Francis Bowden took the mound for the Blue Jays. David Peterson went right to work, getting Bo Bichette, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and Anthony Santander to ground out in the top of the first inning, 3 up, 3 down, in a quick 10-pitch inning. In the bottom half of the first inning, Francisco Lindor lined a 2-2 pitch to right field for a leadoff single. He was quickly erased, though, when Juan Soto hit a ground ball to Blue Jays third baseman Ernie Clement, who turned a 5-6-3 double play. That brought up Pete Alonso, who was immediately brushed back. After getting behind 1 ball and 2 strikes, Francis had an 82-mile-an-hour splitter get away from him, hit Alonso, put him on first base. Brandon Nimmo then popped up to Bo Bichette short for the third and final out of the inning. In the top of the second inning, Peterson got Andres Jimenez to ground out to Mark Vientos at third for the first out of the inning. Alejandro Kirk grounded a single to the right side, and Ernie Clemens followed with a 4-pitch walk to put runners on first and second and 1 out. Peterson came back and struck out Davis Schneider, looking at a 3-2 pitch, to record the second out of the inning before getting Tyler Heineman to ground out to Mark Vientos to get the third out of the inning. Last game's hero, Jesse Winker, led off the bottom of the second inning, but popped out to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. for the first out. Mark Vientos might be starting to come out of it, of his early season slump. He lined a single to left field. Francis Bowden then struck out Brett Baty, who continues to struggle, and then Jose Siri to end the inning. Myles Straw led off the top of the third inning with a ground ball off of David Peterson that deflected to Alonso. He was safe on the play. Bo Bichette flew out to Soto on right field for the first out. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. then flew out to Jose Siri in center field for the second out. After working him away the entire at-bat, Peterson walked Anthony Santander to put runners on first and second with 2 outs for Andres Jimenez. Peterson then came back and struck him out on 3 pitches. So Hayden Singer got the start again as Luis Torrens is dealing with a forearm contusion, and the Mets are trying to give him a couple of days to heal. Singer worked a 3-2 walk, so he led off the bottom of the third inning with a walk, brought up the top of the Mets lineup. Francisco Lindor then struck out on a splitter just under the strike zone for the first out. That brought up Juan Soto, and while he isn't hitting like typical Juan Soto yet, he continues to be patient at the plate. He walked on a 3-1 pitch, moving Singer into scoring position. Pete Alonso followed. He stayed back on a 1-1 curveball, and he pulled it through the left side, past a diving Bo Bichette into left field, and that scored Senga for the first run of the game. Soto moved to third on the play. So now we had first and third and 1 out. Brandon Nimmo then came up to the bat. He did his job. He had a slicing line drive about 10 to 15 feet from the left field foul line. It was deep enough. Juan Soto tagged up, scored, putting the Mets up 2-0. Francis then got Jesse Winker to strike out in 3 pitches, and that ended the inning. So David Peterson took the lead in the top of the 4th inning, and he got Alejandro Kirk to fly out to Jose Siri in center for the first out. He then walked Ernie Clement on a 3-2 pitch, but he got Davis Schneider to ground out to Mark Vientos, who threw to Baty covering at second, who managed to turn the double play, firing to Alonso for a 5-4-3 double play to end the inning. Francis Bowden made quick work of the Mets in the bottom of the 4th inning, getting Vientos looking for the first out, and getting Baty and Jose Siri to fly out to left and right field respectively. The Blue Jays threatened in the top of the 5th inning. Tyler Heineman led off with a double to left. Peterson then struck out Myles Straw for the first out and got Bo Bichette to ground out to Francisco Lindor at short. Heineman did advance to third base on the throw to first. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. then walked on a 3-2 pitch. Peterson wasn't quite looking himself, causing the Mets to go take a look at him. When play resumed, Anthony Santander walked on a 3-1 pitch. It was clear Peterson was trying to keep the ball away from him. That was the focus of his pitch sequence. It's not a bad strategy with Jimenez batting behind him. Mendoza decided to stay with Peterson at this point, but on the first pitch he hit Andres Jimenez, unfortunately, scoring Tyler Heineman for the Blue Jays. That's their first run of the game, so now it's 2-1 Mets. The bases remain loaded, and Mendoza decided that was enough. Max Krenick came on to replace David Peterson, probably in the highest leverage situation he's been put in thus far this season. He was able to get the third out. He got Alejandro Kirk to pop up in foul territory. Hayden Singer made the play, straight at the bases. And then Hayden Senger actually led off in the bottom of the fifth inning for the Mets, and he had a line drive single to left field. Francisco Lindor grounded out to his counterpart Bo Bichette, took the ball to second for the unassisted force out, made the throw over to Guerrero Jr., completed the double play, and then Juan Soto lined out to Santander in right field to end the inning. Max Kranick stayed on to pitch the top of the sixth inning and got Ernie Clement to line out to Jose Siri in center field for the first out. Alan Roden, who's had a good series thus far, pinch hit for Dennis Schneider, but grounded out to Kranick, tossed the ball over to Alonso, recording the second out of the inning. Kranick then struck out Tyler Heineman, getting him to expand in the strike zone and swing through a high fastball for the third out. Pete Alonso led off the bottom of the sixth inning with a line drive single to left field. Brandon Nimmo also followed suit with a line single to right field, so now we had runners on first and second, nobody out. Bowden Francis was able to get Jesse Winker to chase on a four-seamer elevated just above the zone, and that would be the last batter Francis faced, as Chad Green was brought on to face Mark Vientos. He lost him and walked him on a 3-2 pitch that brought up Beatty. Bases loaded, one out. Would Beatty get a big hit here that kind of jumpstart his season? Unfortunately, not yet. Chad Green got Beatty to strike out for the second out of the inning before getting Jose Siri to fly out to center for the third out. So Reed Garrett then came on for Max Kranick, who did his job. He got some big outs for sure in relief for David Peterson. And Reed went straight to work. He struck out Miles Straw to start off his day. Then got ground outs to Francisco Lindor from Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to get a quick 1-2-3 inning. So Chad Green got 2 quick outs for the Blue Jays on 4 pitches at the bottom of the 7th inning before getting Juan Soto to line a double down the right field line. Alonso followed, but he flew out to Alan Roden in left field, and that ended the inning. For the Mets, A.J. Minter came on in relief of Garrett, and he started to pitch the top of the 8th inning. He struck out Anthony Santander and Andres Jimenez to get 2 quick outs. Alejandro Kirk singled on a line drive up the middle. He was pinch run for by George Springer. Ernie Clement came to the plate. Springer stole second during the at-bat to put himself in scoring position, but Minter buckled down, got Clement to hit a line drive right to Soto, recorded the third out of the inning. Mets got out of it, and then we move on to the bottom of the 8th inning. The Blue Jays decided to bring on Brandon Little, who didn't have much success the day before, so he's relieving Chad Green, and he managed to keep the Mets bats silent in the bottom of the 8th inning. He struck out Brandon Nimmo. Sterling Marte pinch hit for Jesse Winker. He struck him out as well. And then he got Mark Vientos to ground out for a 1-3 putout at first. So sound the trumpets. Edwin Diaz, who pitched the scoreless top of the 9th yesterday in a tie game and picked up the win, came on this time in the top of the 9th in a save situation. Diaz wasn't very sharp in yesterday's game, and he started off today's game in the same accord. He hit Alan Roden to lead off the 9th inning. He did manage to strike out Tyler Heineman, who helped Diaz by swinging at 2 fastballs out of the strike zone high. And then Nathan Lukes came up, and he did hit a hard line drive. It was kind of a sinking line drive, but it stayed up long enough that a charging Brandon Nimmo in left field was able to snag it. Off the bat, it looked like it was going to drop. We were going to be in some trouble. Thankfully, that wasn't the case. So now we have 2 outs, runner at first. Bo Bichette came to the plate. The Mets had a chance to end the game, leaving Vladimir Guerrero Jr. on the on-deck circle, which is my choice if we can have it that way. Unfortunately, Diaz lost a 1-1 fastball and drilled Bichette in the ribs. So now that put Roden at second, Bichette at first, tying run at second. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. came to the plate. The Mets have pretty much kept them in check this whole series. Could they continue to keep them in check? Thankfully, on the first pitch, Diaz gave him a down and away slider. Vladimir Guerrero swung at it. Didn't have a really good swing at it. Hit a kind of a moderate ground ball to Lindor. He threw to Acuna, who came on as defensive replacement in the 9th, and got the force out at second to end the game. So, the Mets held on for the 2-1 win. They sweep the Blue Jays in the 3-game series. David Peterson pitched 4 1/3 innings. He gave up only 1 earned run on 3 hits. He did walk 5 and struck out 3. Peterson left after he wasn't looking very comfortable on the mound in the 5th, where he was struggling to complete the inning. After the game, Mendoza stated that Peterson was physically fine, which is great. We want to hear that. But all of a sudden, he started to get blurry vision. He felt like he had gotten punched in the stomach, so he wasn't feeling well, and that's why they pulled him. That's possibly why he wasn't very sharp. Walking 5 batters is not what we're expecting from him. It's not what we need from him. But he did manage to gut it out, get through the 4 1/3. Bullpen came in and did their job. So hopefully there's nothing serious. Peterson can make his next start and this issue is behind us. But again, like I just mentioned, the bullpen was once again huge this game. Max Kranick, Reed Garrett, AJ Minter, Edwin Diaz, they combined to go 5 1/3 innings. They gave up only 1 hit. That was a hit off of Minter. They struck out 5. I'm going to keep saying this. I'm really excited by the quality of arms in the Mets bullpen to start the season, and they're going to continue to be an asset. They're going to continue to be a strength for this team. The key is going to be to not overwork them, but I feel like having pitchers who are capable of going multiple innings and saving the bullpens on some days, such as Max Kranick today, Budo and Brazoban, who did so this series, that's going to go a long way of helping with that. Now, on the offensive end, Pete Alonso went 2 for 3 with an RBI. Brandon Nimmo drove home the second Mets run of the game with a sac fly in the bottom of the 3rd, and those 2 runs held up the rest of the game. The Mets moved to 6-3 on the season. They dropped the Blue Jays to 5-5. Tomorrow, the Mets welcome the Miami Marlins to Citi Field. First pitch is scheduled for 7:10 p.m. Eastern. Kodai Senga takes the mound for his second start. His first start, he pitched against the Marlins as well. For the Marlins, they're undecided on who their pitcher is going to be. Their game Sunday versus the Braves was postponed to August 9th. The scheduled starter was Sandy Alcantara. However, he left the team to fly back to Miami on Sunday to be there for the birth of his second child. I don't believe he'll be back on Monday. One of the Marlins' top prospects might get called up for this start. So we'll find out later on Monday who we're going to be facing. I'll be back after tomorrow's game to provide the recap. Until then, Mets fans, let's go Mets.